Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good morning, I'm Izzy Morgan, and these are your 11:30 news headlines. More than a dozen Americans who were on board the cruise ship at the center of the hantavirus outbreak are back in the U.S. Health officials with the CDC and Health and Human Services say 16 passengers are in Nebraska and 2 are in Atlanta. The American who tested positive is in a biocontaminant unit at the University of Nebraska, and the rest are in Nebraska and haven't shown any symptoms so far. The 2 who are in Atlanta, health officials say will be at Emory University, and the 1 is showing symptoms. At the White House, President Trump says he's hopeful that the virus will be contained.
I hope it's fine. All I can do is everything that a president can do, which is actually somewhat limited. But it seems like it is not easy to spread.
A snowmobiler missing since Friday has been found as rescue efforts were hampered by treacherous winter conditions. RCMP say the snowmobiler from Whitehorse set out with 2 others to retrieve a broken-down snow machine in the Haines Pass area in northwestern BC. The missing snowmobiler was separated from the group without survival gear or a satellite phone. Due to poor weather conditions, rescuers were unable to access the area where the man went missing until Sunday. Police say a snowmobile group and a helicopter canvassed the area before locating the man. The man's body was found about 4 kilometers from his last known location. The coroner's service has taken over the investigation. 2 men were killed over the weekend in a shooting in Surrey. Police say they were called to an underground parking lot in the 7,000 block of 133 B Street on Sunday at about 10 p.m. There, police say they found 2 men injured with gunshot wounds. Despite efforts from emergency service responders, both died at the scene. No suspects have been arrested. Police are urging anyone with information on the death to contact homicide investigators. Police in Delta, BC say a motorcyclist is in the hospital after a crash that left the bike suspended from a traffic light. Members from the department responded to the scene at the 7,100 block of Scott Road just after 3 p.m. on Saturday. The motorcycle driver sustained serious but not life-threatening injuries, while the driver of the other vehicle did not suffer any injuries. Photos from the incident have been widely shared on social media depicting the blue motorcycle suspended vertically with the bar from the streetlight wedged between the front and body of the bike. Police say speed is believed to be a contributing factor in the crash. In sports, the FIFA World Cup is coming to Vancouver next month. The city's years of preparation and planning ensure that everything will flow smoothly. Here's Robbie Parker with more.
The city of Vancouver is embracing the chaos as the FIFA World Cup starts next month. A department that doesn't get enough credit is the group of people ensuring transportation and mobility around BC Place and the Fan Fest runs smoothly. Whether it's the spectator last mile, on-site parking, or zones for the dedicated ride-hailing services, plans are finalized and ready to go, not just on game day, but throughout the month the World Cup takes place. Robbie Parker, BCIT News.
In weather today, you can expect to see a high of 17 dropping down to a low of 11 tonight. Tomorrow, we will see a high of 20 with some clouds in the afternoon. In entertainment, the version of The Simpsons dubbed in Québécois French has been saved after Bell Media reached a deal with Disney Entertainment to broadcast the series. Season 36 of Les Simpsons will air this fall on its Nouveau television channel and stream on Crave. Fans were outraged last year when Bell competitor Chorus Entertainment decided not to renew the broadcast rights, leaving Francophone viewers with no choice but to watch the season in European French. An online petition gathered thousands of signatures to save Québécois dubbing. Seasons 1 to 35 are in Québécois are already available on Disney+. The Devil Wears Prada edges out Mortal Kombat 2 at the North American box office this weekend. Studio estimates show The Devil Wears Prada 2 earned $43 million in its second week, while Mortal Kombat 2 took in $40 million in its first. The Devil Wears Prada 2 has grossed $433.2 million worldwide. I'm Izzy Morgan, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good morning, I'm Noah Peckham, and here are your sports headlines. In the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens took a 2-1 series lead over the Buffalo Sabres in their second-round matchup with a 6-2 win. The Canadiens impressed with their stellar defensive play and goaltending. Canadiens head coach Martin St. Louis praised his players after the game.
No, I just feel like when it's time to defend in our zone, I feel the guys are very engaged and they work at it. You know, they take pride into, this is what the game needs me to do right now. I got to defend. And I think we that brings pace, courage, like whatever you want. It's just a mindset and an attitude. This is what the game needs me to do right now. And I feel like we can do that.
The Anaheim Ducks evened their series against the Vegas Golden Knights at 2 games with a 4-3 win. Ducks young star Cutter Gauthier recorded 3 assists, continuing his impressive sophomore campaign. Gauthier spoke about his play post-game.
I think the first 3 games wasn't getting enough shots and getting to the middle of the ice, and tonight was a big emphasis on just trying to get in front of guys, get in front of the goalie, and stir some things up. And fortunately, the guys were able to bury when I made a couple passes.
Team Canada's men's hockey team faced France on Sunday in an exhibition game. North Vancouver's Macklin Celebrini was named captain before the game. He went on to have a goal and 3 assists, helping Canada to a 6-1 win. The Men's World Championship officially begins on May 15th. Canada begins the tournament with a game against Sweden. NHL insider Elliot Friedman reports that Henrik and Daniel Sedin were offered and accepted higher roles within the Canucks organization. Vancouver is still searching for their next general manager. According to reports, the Canucks are down to 2 finalists, Boston Bruins assistant GM Evan Gold and Canucks current assistant GM Ryan Johnson. Current rumors say Evan Gold is the front runner. Shane Doan and the Toronto Maple Leafs have parted ways. The former NHLer has left the organization after 3 seasons as special advisor to the general manager, a league source confirmed to the Canadian press. Pierre Lebrun of TSN and The Athletic was the first to report the move. Doan's contract with Toronto was set to expire at the end of June. His return seemed unlikely after the Maple Leafs fired GM Brad Treliving in March, with the club missing the playoffs for the first time in a decade. A former Winnipeg hockey coach who admitted to sexually assaulting a teen player has been sentenced to 6 years in prison. Madison Bieluk was accused of having an inappropriate sexual relationship with the girl between 2019 and 2021. Bieluk initially faced 15 charges and pleaded guilty to luring and sexual assault. She was in her 20s at the time of the offenses, which started when the victim was 15. Provincial Court Judge Jerry Riley says Bieluk used her authority and influence to groom the player. The judge says Bieluk caused emotional and psychological harm and that the ripple effects continue. In basketball, the NBA's worst team this season is getting the #1 pick in the draft. Reporter Gethin Coolbaugh has more.
The Washington Wizards won the NBA draft lottery on Sunday and are poised to pick first overall for the first time since choosing John Wall in that spot in 2010. Wall was the Wizards' on-stage representative for this year's lottery. Washington had a 14% chance of winning number one, tied with Brooklyn and Indiana for the best odds. The 17 and 65 Wizards had basically a 50-50 chance of either a top 4 pick or the number 5 spot. Utah will pick number 2, Memphis number 3, and Chicago number 4. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
In the PWHL, the Ottawa Charge are heading to their second straight Walter Cup finals. The Charge defeated the Boston Fleet 4-3 in double overtime, winning the series 3-1. Former Vancouver Golden Eye, Michaela Cava, scored the winner for Ottawa. It was Cava's first goal with the Charge since being traded from Vancouver in January. That's all for now. I'm Noah Peckham. For BCIT's The Crow, thanks for listening.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow. This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
People say a dog is a man's best friend, but that is not the case for everyone. Some dogs need help. Rescue groups can provide that. Groups like the Maple Ridge SPCA. The Lower Mainland sees many cases. Some dogs lose homes or face neglect. Rescuers step in and take those dogs to safety. Shelters provide care, and volunteers give their time. Every dog carries a story. Each story shows struggle and holds hope. This documentary shares those stories. Join Tatiana Rowe as she follows these rescue dogs and explores those second chances with the Maple Ridge SPCA.
Dogs depend and trust their owners to take care of them, to give them shelter, food, and hope. When that trust gets broken and dogs are neglected or abandoned, they find themselves at the BC SPCA. They get a second chance. The Maple Ridge SPCA sits on a quiet road in the back of town. Workers come in the morning to greet the dogs, and all of a sudden, the road isn't so quiet anymore. These dogs sound happy now, but it took a lot of work and love for them to get there.
Hi, Marcy. Hi, sweetheart.
Most of the dogs that come into the SPCA are from backgrounds of neglect and abuse, creating trauma responses like reactivity to other dogs and humans. These workers use their passion for animals to help rescue and rehabilitate these dogs to one day get them adopted back into loving homes.
So now I think that we recognize animals as sentient beings. They have feelings, and they're so vulnerable, and they're so trustworthy, and animals being abused, it really, really upset me.
Eileen Drever and her staff work to build trust and create a sense of safety for these puppies. Each one has a story the staff gets to know to properly care for these dogs. Today, we focus on Marcy's story.
In this particular instance, a member of the public reached out to us concerned about the number of dogs on a property. Our animal protection officer attended, and she found about 18 dogs, up to 20 dogs on the property, many litters between 2 and 8 weeks of age. They did not have shelter. Some were kept in a shed with no food. And speaking with the owners, they realized they get in way over their head. In this particular instance, they realized the owners were having difficulty feeding them, caring for them, couldn't afford to spay and neuter. So we worked with them, and they surrendered, I think, 16 or 17 dogs, including puppies, over to the SPCA.
Each Each dog is assigned an animal care attendant to further progress their recovery from their rescue backgrounds. Marcy had the luck of being placed with Taylor Grostad. Taylor has only been with the SPCA for a short time, but her impact with Marcy has been tremendous.
So Marcy here came into us about a week ago with her sister Millie, and they did great together, but ever since her sister left, she's been a little bit sad without her. She seems to have some dog reactivity issues now. She got taken out, I believe it was like a couple days, and she was brought back because of her dog reactivity. So right now I'm working on her dog reactivity, just walking past other dogs, having more exposure to them because she's still such a young dog. She's a puppy, right? So she's only 4 months old. So she's easier to work with to get rid of that dog reactivity. So we're hoping just some socializing with her can help her be more comfortable around some other dogs. We've been bringing her up to the reception area because then sometimes we get dogs that come in from up there and then a lot of people. So that's what we've been doing with her. She comes up, we give her a little bone so she's distracted. So lots of treats. She gets lots of treats during the day. And yeah, that's what we're doing so far. Marcy. Marcy. Marcy.
Marcy is one of many dogs the SPCA cares for. They have locations all across British Columbia helping as many dogs as they can. Unfortunately, not all dogs get a happily ever after right away. Marcy, for example, was returned, and many animals don't find people willing to take on a rescue for weeks after they are posted for adoption.
I mean, I've seen it so many times, like people return after a week, 3 weeks, but like these are animals that are coming from like a broken home. They've been traumatized. They're early in their life or later in their life, depending on the age of the dog. And these are, if you're gonna adopt from the SPCA, I think I wanna stress it, I can't stress it enough, that these dogs need someone that's going to work with them and be patient with them, because they're not your typical just dog that you're buying off from a breeder. These dogs they're traumatized and they need help and they need patience and they need someone that's gonna work through their problems with them. They've been kind of getting thrown around their whole lives, and you know, we want them to be going to a good home. We want them to go to a good home that's gonna like understand that. You can totally see like a different dog when they go to leave, like they're happy, they're jumping around, and it's good to see them go to a good home too, like, and you just know they're gonna have like a really good rest of their life, and it makes me like almost cry sometimes because you know, you form like these connections with them and it's good to see them go. But yeah, it just brings me a lot of happiness seeing them go to good homes, and a lot happier than when they first come in. We've seen some pretty rough shaped dogs come in and then they leave totally like new dog. I love it.
We got the chance to hang out with Marcy for a couple hours and hope she finds a place to call home soon.
Yes. Hi, honey pie. You're so cute. You're so brave. So brave.
For BCIT's The Crow, I'm Tatiana Rowe alongside co-producer Emma Connolly.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. but it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Siggi-Kane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good morning. My name is Tyler Bereskin, and these are your news headlines for 12. Starting locally, Movement YVR releases a statement regarding a low-income pass due to TransLink's new fare increase. June Bravo explains how the new fare hike can affect riders.
Students getting off school and their U-passes not being available, transit users have a looming concern regarding the 5% fare increase in July. Movement YVR, an advocate for transit riders, released a statement asking for a low-income pass. They say that the new fare hike in July will add another financial strain to households yearly. Movement YVR states that it is, quote, embarrassing that British Columbia still does not have passes that can help all riders financially. June Bravo, BCIT News.
Following the canceled Amber Alert in BC, the two children who went missing last night were found around Burns Lake. The children have been returned home after police were notified of their location. Two individuals were taken into custody following the return of the children. No further information is available at this time. Dr. Bonnie Henry, the BC Provincial Health Officer, has updated the Canadian passengers on the MV Honduras cruise status regarding the hantavirus during today's press conference. Dr. Henry reveals that none of the Canadian passengers made any direct contact with those on the ship who tested positive for hantavirus. Dr. Henry says that all the Canadian passengers remain in quarantine within Victoria as of last night. Going national, 3 more Canadians who are connected with the virus remain in Ontario. Sylvia Jones, the Health Minister of Ontario, says neither of the 3 are showing any symptoms but are still quarantining.
The couple in Grey Bruce absolutely is still self-isolating. They continue to be asymptomatic, and obviously the local public health unit is monitoring closely. We do have a 3rd individual in the Peel region who is also isolating and being monitored by the local public health unit.
In international news, the hantavirus continues. More passengers on the MV Honduras cruise ship have tested positive for hantavirus. The U.S. health officials say that despite testing positive, one of the individuals from the U.S. is not displaying any kind of symptoms. The other passenger, who is from France, has been sent to a hospital in Paris and remains in good condition according to the French Prime Minister. The alleged White House shooter has pleaded not guilty to the charge of attempting to assassinate the U.S. President Donald Trump. The plea was entered into court by one of the suspect's attorneys. The attorneys also requested that multiple Justice Department officials be removed from the case due to a conflict of interest, as both officials were present during the alleged incident. New recess advice has been released today from a pediatric group based in the U.S. This is the first time in over a decade that recesses have received any kind of guidance. The pediatric group has conducted research that shows how recess can be beneficial to kids of all ages, improving kids' growth at school. The guidance information has been released in Journal Pediatrics. The Beatles are opening a new attraction for the fan base at their headquarters in London. Haya Pijuana reports.
The Beatles are returning home to one of their iconic sites with a new fan experience in London. Apple Corps, the company founded by the Beatles, announced that it will open a 7-floor attraction at their early headquarters in 2027. The building is where the album Let It Be was recorded, and the rooftop was the site of their last public performance. Fans will have access to the rooftop, studios, and extensive Beatles archives. Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr expressed excitement about the project. An opening date has not been announced. I'm Haya Pinjwani.
The weather today will be sunny with a high of 16. My name is Tyler Bereskin, and these were your news headlines for 10:30.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Hi, I'm Trevor Weinbrenner, and this is your sports news for 12:10. Thomas Mueller is coming back to the Vancouver Whitecaps lineup after being out with an illness for 10 days. Montreal Canadiens win a pivotal Game 3 to take a 2-1 series lead over the Buffalo Sabres. Jakub Dobeš backstops the Canadiens to a 6-2 win, saving 26 of 28 shots. Goals from Canadiens players Zachary Bolduc, Cole Caulfield, Juraj Slafkovsky, Kirby Dach, and 2 goals from Alex Newhook leads the Canadiens to the win. Canadiens look to take the momentum into Game 4. Nick Suzuki speaks post-game after the Canadiens win about the pace of the series.
Not really. I mean, both teams are skilled and fast, and if you overcommit a little bit, there's a transition the other way for either side. So we got to limit the time and space they're getting for sure, but we got to keep creating for ourselves.
Do you feel like the animosity level?
The Anaheim Ducks tie the series at 2 game apiece in Game 4 against the Vegas Golden Knights, winning 4-3. Goals from Alex Killorn, Beckett Seneca, Ian Moore, Mikhail Granlund leads the Ducks to a 4-3 win. Anaheim Ducks head coach said things are going pretty well, and there are positives to take out of that game. Anaheim's head coach Joel Quenneville speaks post-game.
Have that momentum.
Well, I think we got momentum. Things are going good for as long as you can keep it. That's better than chasing it. But at the same time, both teams played hard. That was a man's game out there today. I thought, we worked hard. I thought we did a lot of good things. A little dangerous at the end again, but certainly a lot of positives. The Ottawa Charge win over the Boston Fleet to head back to the PWHL Finals. Ottawa wins with a big performance from goaltender Gwyneth Phillips, saving 43 of 46 shots faced. Michaela Kava gets the winning goal, scoring in second overtime. The New York Knicks take the series against the 76ers in 4 games, winning 144-114. The New York Knicks were led by Jalen Brunson and Miles McBride, scoring for a combined 47 points in the victory. Knicks advanced to the Eastern Conference Finals. The Minnesota Timberwolves take down the San Antonio Spurs in Game 4 in a nail-biter, 114-109. The Spurs lost star player Victor Wembanyama early in Game 4 after he was ejected for elbowing Timberwolves player Naz Reid. The Timberwolves were led by Anthony Edwards, who scored 36 points. Wembanyama ejected in the game, as Janeth Kulba reports.
San Antonio Spurs star Victor Wembanyama was ejected for throwing an elbow out of frustration at the throat of Minnesota Timberwolves forward Naz Reid early in the second quarter of Game 4 of their second-round NBA playoff series. Wembanyama was whistled for an offensive foul after he grabbed an offensive rebound and was swarmed by Reid and Jaden McDaniels. The 7'4" Wembanyama struck Reid with excessive contact above the neck and drew a flagrant 2 foul that comes with an automatic ejection. Wembanyama had 4 points and 4 rebounds in 13 minutes. I'm Gethin Coolball.
The Toronto Blue Jays lose the series finale to the Angels
The Jays opened the game with a Kazuma Okamoto RBI single, but didn't score after that. Blue Jays pitcher Eric Lauer gives up 6 runs, leading to the Jays' loss. The Jays take on the Rays today at 4:07 and look to get back into the win column. Games today in baseball. Angels take on the Guardians. Yankees take on the Orioles. Diamondbacks take on the Rangers. Mariners take on the Astros. And the Dodgers take on the Giants. Kyle Schwarber homers twice, and Aaron Judge homers. They are now tied for the league lead in homers at 16. Real Madrid falls to Barcelona in the El Clasico 2-0. Goals from Marcus Rashford and Ferran Torres. Star player Kylian Mbappe did not start as a coach's decision. Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants is Week 1 Sunday night game. The Dallas Cowboys are set to visit the New York Giants in the first game of Sunday night game of the 2026 NFL season on September 13. I am Trevor Weinberner for BCIT The Crows. Thanks for listening.
This is 1680 The Crow, and you're listening to our feature presentation.
Hello, I'm Tucker Wissink. Last week, me and my partner Evan Alfreds had the chance to talk to Gavin Fraser and his dad Ryan about Gavin overcoming all obstacles to continue his passion of floor hockey.
You'll get a chance to talk to Gavin, but he's not like other kids in the team that he plays in. Gavin has, from the time he was born, he had a stroke, which means that some of his muscle control isn't, like a lot of other kids. Specifically his left arm, he doesn't have hand control. So Gavin's persistence in learning and coping and modifying the way that he plays hockey with all of his other kids in a regular league has been really quite something to watch.
Gavin, do you have a favorite hockey memory growing up?
Oh, there's too many, dude. I would say probably when I won back-to-back gold medals in Valley, I'd say. Probably because I had basically the same team 2 years in a row. So It was kind of nice to have two teams that were basically almost identical. But it was just how quickly we got to know each other and just all the friendships I made from it too, though. Like,
what advantages and disadvantages do you have from only being able to use one hand?
I don't know, I've gotten so used to it that the disadvantages became advantages over time. I've kind of figured out to work my way around them, but I think it's just either if I'm like on a 2-on-1 and stuff, it's like I can only fend off certain ways. Like if I can go right, that's an advantage. If I go left, that's a disadvantage, right? Because I'm on my backhand. If on this side, I can fend it off, put it through my legs that way. But over time, I've kind of figured out a way to work with it. So I guess there's more disadvantages than advantages when I first started, but I figured out how to work my way through them and just figured out a way to make them advantages to make people more pissed off than anything else.
Did you ever try playing ice hockey or?
I did. My ankle was too messed up though at the time.
Oh yeah.
But after I got surgery, 2022, so that would have been what, like 4 or 5 years ago now?
Yeah.
Something like that, 4 years ago now? Yeah. So I'm gonna try and skate again because I had like no movement in my ankle, right? But now my foot's actually flat on the ground because I used to walk like from the outside of my foot to the inside, so it was more of the pressure points were a lot different. And just, I don't know, I feel like it would be a lot easier now.
Did you have to have surgery done?
It didn't have to, it was an option. It was just because, well, obviously because I walked on the outside of my foot inwards because of the way my foot was positioned. And it was just like, they gave me an option. You can do the surgery, it would 100% work, or you don't have the surgery and you can be in pain for a long fucking time. And it was just like, because every day I used to walk and there's like, obviously, when you get a callus, and it's like really, really hard. But imagine that on your pinky toe all the way to your heel. And it bled all the time when I used to play hockey. I had blood in my socks, right? So it was more of like comfort or discomfort.
Eventually, for Gavin, the pain reached a point where something needed to change.
And they were trying to reposition my foot so I have a different posture when I run or walk. From the outer side of my foot to the inner side in between my big toe and halfway in the middle of my left foot, like it was more of just they're using more bone structure to keep it flat, because lengthening the Achilles can only do so much, right? So it's just, those are the main two things, is trying to get my foot to reposition, because my foot was in that, kind of angled position for so long that I didn't know any different. So it's like I literally had to relearn how to walk for the first time, and that sucked.
Like, obviously relearning how to walk, it's like something that like most people do like every day. Like,
yeah. No, I guess it was like relearning how to walk was a shock, because I was no longer in pain when I put my foot down. Was the biggest thing, right? It was like the pressure points were so different, and just not having that, because I used to walk, right? I never used to put my heel down because my Achilles were so tight, I wasn't able to do this flex right here. So having all the pressure go, like, obviously I can put it down on my heel a little bit now, but before it was basically on the side of my foot down, like inwards, right? So not having all that pressure and actually learning how to walk properly, as properly as can be, it basically helped me a lot, and it kind of shocked me on how walking and posture of your foot and how much a little surgery can change. It definitely gave me a sense of relief when it came to, I can actually do something about it. Because at first I didn't know if I was actually able to fix it. So it was more of just having a lot of anxiety and relief kind of taken away when I was able to walk again. But it was more of just getting through the pain was the biggest, but the pain was horrible.
For Gavin, the surgery traces back to a condition he's lived with his whole life.
It comes with, like you said, it was more advantages and disadvantages of it. Obviously when I got hit by some kid because, he didn't like the way I looked, I always turned to my left. So it was just like, I never felt anything, which is kind of nice. But I know it's kind of weird, but I think my experience overall with cerebral palsy, it's more of, obviously it's a brain bleed, right? Start there. It's more of like, obviously if there's a brain bleed on your right side, it affects the left side, right? Everything the stroke makes it like smaller and everything like that, and tighter. So just kind of going to physio twice. I think when I was younger, I went like 3 times a week. Used to drive me all the time. But it's definitely, the bullying was the hardest part. Was just not really the bullying in elementary school. It was more the looks that I got. So it was I guess, to sum it all up, people don't understand the different things that people with certain disabilities have to think about and have to deal with every day, right? Which, that's okay, right? There's some things that people never have to think about, and that's totally okay. Yeah. But it's more of just, I've come to live with it. It's been 21 years now I've lived with it, so it's just kind of, I've just adapted to it, honestly. It doesn't hold me back at all anymore.
Awesome.
A bit better.
What would you tell like your 10, 12-year-old self about everything that you've kind of been through the last few years?
I would say from then to now, I would tell my 12-year-old self, it's gonna be all right, suck it up, deal with it, keep doing your thing, it'll all work out in the end. It's probably the biggest things I'd probably say to him.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Siggi-Kane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikki-King.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikki-King. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon, I'm Zach Bard, and here's the latest news headlines at 12:30. In local news, BC Provincial Health Officer Bonnie Henry spoke today about the arrival of 4 Canadians from the MV Hondius cruise ship. The MV Hondius is known for a fatal outbreak of hantavirus. The 4 Canadians, all 50 or older, were present on the ship during the outbreak. 2 of them live in BC, while the other pair were from the Yukon. Henry says none of the Canadians had known direct contact with those infected with hantavirus. She says they are now isolating on Vancouver Island with no symptoms. They will remain in isolation for at least 21 days. Road safety has been on the minds of Surrey residents after a very odd incident last weekend. Our reporter Jenna Lee has an update from ICBC and police.
A bizarre crash near Delta Scottsdale Mall on Saturday left a motorcycle hanging from a traffic light. Delta police is urging the public to follow road safety laws to stay safe. ICBC says that 49% of motorcycle crashes where the motorcyclists are at fault are due to the rider's skills and losing control of the bike. Motorcyclists are also 3 times more likely to be injured or killed in a crash compared to those in a car. Although incidents like these are rare, Delta police is reminding everyone of how to stay safe on the roads. They're reminding drivers to stay cautious when turning and to be wary of their surroundings at all times. Jana Ali, BCIT News.
The bike driver survived with non-life-threatening injuries. The driver of the sedan that the biker crashed into was not injured. New AI data centers are currently being planned for in BC, according to the federal government. Canada's AI Minister Evan Solomon, along with TELUS, held a conference in Vancouver today. They announced plans involving 3 AI infrastructure clusters in BC. There will be 2 new facilities in Mount Pleasant and downtown Vancouver, plus the expansion of an existing facility in Kamloops, according to TELUS. The Kamloops and Mount Pleasant projects will open later this year. The downtown facility will open much later in 2029. A pedestrian scramble is being installed at the intersection between Metrotown Station and Metropolis Mall. As our reporter Matthew Wong explains, the feature has been a long time coming.
The busy Burnaby intersection near Metrotown SkyTrain station is finally getting a safety upgrade, but it took nearly a decade to get here. Since the overhead pedestrian walkway was removed in 2016, the street-level crossing has seen 24 crashes in just 4 years. A man was even struck by a bus in 2024. The city is installing Burnaby's first ever pedestrian scramble crossing, stopping all traffic so pedestrians can cross in every direction, which its construction will wrap up next month. But for many commuters and pedestrians, the question remains, why did it take so long?
The crossing is expected to open next month in June. In provincial news, BC Forest Minister Ravi Parmar is looking to decouple BC's forest market from the U.S. Parmar announced a $12 million package from the province to help the forest sector. He explains how tariffs on the U.S. government have affected both Canadian and U.S. citizens.
This is not just hurting forestry workers, hurting operations here in British Columbia and throughout Canada, but this is also hurting middle-class Americans who simply want to build homes and build infrastructure. And we've seen a significant collapse of U.S. housing market demand because of the actions of Donald Trump. And I hope he pays the price of that in the upcoming midterm.
Palmer spoke today from Burnaby. And to international news, U.S. President Donald Trump will meet with Chinese President Xi Jinping this week. Trump has called the meeting potentially historical as Taiwan is expected to be at the center of these talks. The U.S. president authorized a multi-billion-dollar arms package for the island, but has not yet moved forward with delivery. Besides Taiwan, China's relationship with Iran and ongoing tariff tensions are expected to be mentioned. Now in entertainment, one of the biggest pop stars in the world is targeting Samsung in a new lawsuit. ABC's Mike Dubusky breaks it down.
Dua Lipa says Samsung is selling TVs using her image without her permission. The photo in question was taken at a music festival in 2024 and is displayed on the boxes for certain Samsung televisions. Lawyers for the three-time Grammy winner say they repeatedly asked Samsung to stop using the image, but the company was dismissive and callous. Now they're suing Samsung for infringing on Dua Lipa's copyright and trademark rights and are asking for $15 million. Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Samsung currently has no comment on the lawsuit. And in weather, today's high is 17 and low is 11. That was the news from the morning. I'm Zach Bard, and you're listening to BCIT's The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikakane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretnero.
And I'm Radhika Sikakane. Thank you for tuning in to BCIT Magazine.
Good afternoon, BCIT The Crota listeners. My name is Denine Tingala, and the time is now 12:40. And for the next 5 minutes, I'll be updating you on all things sports. The Montreal Victoire will play host to the Minnesota Frost tonight in a do-or-die Game 5 with a spot in the Walter Cup final on the line. The decisive matchup, which starts at 3 p.m. PST at Place Bell, follows a hard-fought back-and-forth series. The Frost were on the ropes in Game 4 in Minnesota, trailing in the series 2-1, but Minnesota found their spark in the third period. The winner will face off against the Ottawa Charge, which has already secured a spot in the final after a hard-fought double overtime game on Sunday. In the NHL, the Montreal Canadiens dominated in Game 3 last night and now have the series lead 2-1 against the Buffalo Sabres. The Canadiens had their optional skate earlier today, and Martin St. Louis says they are equipped and ready to face the Sabres.
You got to do the things that the game is asking you to do all the time. So you have to be alert. You know, you're hoping for an offensive shift. It's not what the game is asking you to do at that time. It's just to be really mature and understanding that. And I feel we're equipped to be able to do that, knowing that nothing is bulletproof. But if you rely on just that mindset, knowing that you're equipped to deal with it, you're going to help yourself.
Game 4 goes tomorrow at 4 p.m. PST. The Wild are back on home ice for Game 4 against the Colorado Avalanche. Colorado leads the series 2-1. The Wild is looking to go back-to-back as they handed Colorado their first playoff loss. The Wall of St. Paul, Jesper Wallstedt, is back in net after only allowing 1 goal in Game 3. Puck drop is at 5 p.m. PST today. Until Saturday, 3 out of the 3 of the Quebec hockey teams were in the playoffs. However, the Toronto Marlies upset the Laval Rockets, winning Game 5, advancing to the division final. This was the Toronto Marlies franchise's first win on the road in a winner-take-all game. The Marlies will face the Cleveland Monsters in the North Division final, with the series set to start on May 14th. 3 Canucks players have been chosen to represent their respective countries in the double IHF World's Men's Championships. Linus Karlsson will be representing Sweden, Aatu Räty for Finland, and Filip Hronek for Czechia. Continuing with the double IHF news, Canada defeated France in a pre-World Championship exhibition game 6-1 on Sunday. The star of the game was 19-year-old North Vancouver native Macklin Celebrini, who delivered a commanding game with a goal and 3 assists. Celebrini was named captain on Sunday morning, with Ryan O'Reilly and John Tavares serving as alternate captains. Canada will be kicking off the tournament on May 15th at 7:20 a.m. PST against Sweden. Now bouncing over to the court, the Washington Wizards won the NBA draft lottery this weekend. Correspondent Gettin Comball has the details.
The Washington Wizards won the NBA draft lottery on Sunday and are poised to pick first overall for the first time since choosing John Wall in that spot in 2010. Wall was the Wizards' on-stage representative for this year's lottery. Washington had a 14% chance of winning number 1, tied with Brooklyn and Indiana for the best odds. The 17 and 65 Wizards had basically a 50-50 chance of either a top 4 pick or the number 5 spot. Utah will pick number number 2, Memphis number 3, and Chicago number 4. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
The Los Angeles Angels beat the Blue Jays 6-1 yesterday, preventing a 3-game sweep. Joe Adell of the Angels hit a pair of solo homers, and Oswald Peraza added a 2-run homer as Los Angeles ended an 8-game road losing streak dating to April 16th, while also ending a 9-game slump in Toronto. The Blue Jays are up to bat again today against the Tampa Bay Rays at 4:07 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Barcelona have been crowned champions of La Liga with an historic win against Real Madrid in El Clásico. They only needed 1 point to confirm their status as back-to-back La Liga champions, and they did it against their greatest rival. The unexpected hero was Marcus Rashford, who gave an early lead to Barcelona with a free kick to the top corner. Ferran Torres gets another one in, and the final score was 2-0. That's all the sports headlines from me. This has been Dena Tingala with BCIT's The Crow.
Stay tuned for more on BCIT's 1680 The Crow.
Everything is changing to digital. Everything is online. People aren't just waiting for the 6 o'clock news anymore. People want their news right now. They want to be able to go onto their smartphone, onto the internet, and see the news that they want to see.
Vancouver is growing at, a really rapid rate, the Lower Mainland even, and with the tools that we're given here, we're able to cover all of that.
Welcome to BCIT Magazine. I'm Radhika Sikikane.
In the program, they really leave it up to you. I mean, the help is there when you need it, figuring out how to use the programs like Premiere, Audition, and figuring out how to use the cameras. But it's up to you to sort of experiment and figure out what you can do when you go out in the field.
They brought candles and flowers to remember the student who lost her life yesterday.
Theresa May says the international community condemns Moscow.
They really make sure that you know the basics and you are able to put out a quality product.
I'm Brady Tretanero.
And I'm Radhika Sikikane.